Welcome to part 3 of our Quick Start series for deploying CAS on GCP. In the last video, we showed you how to deploy our VMs and resources on GCP by running the Quick Start script. In this video, we'll be using a PC over IP software client to connect to the workstations that we deployed. When the Quick Start deployment completed successfully, we were greeted with a Quick Start deployment complete message. As a quick recap, if we scroll up a little bit, we will see a green output message that Terraform displays. This output message contains the IP address of the connector, which we will be using in this video to connect to the workstations. Before we can connect to our workstations, we will first need to download and install our PC over IP software client. The link to the software client will be provided in this video description below. On this page, you will find the software clients for different operating systems. Be sure to download and use the one for your existing operating system. Since I'm currently on Windows, I will download and install mine using software client for Windows here. Feel free to pause the video here and install the client. If you need additional help or more information, please visit the administrator's guide, which can be found just below the download button. I've already installed my client, so I will just go ahead and open it. I can head back over to our Cloud Shell and we can look for the connector public IP, since this is what we will use to connect to our workstations. Let's copy the IP address and paste it into our client under host address. A pop-up will appear saying that the connection is not secure. This is expected, and it happens because the Quick Start script does not use the SSL certificate option. For the purposes of this demo, we can continue by clicking on Connect Insecurely. We'll then enter the username and the password. By default, the Quick Start script uses the username administrator, and the password is the password that we've entered when we first were prompted by the script for the Active Directory Administrator password, which we did in part 2 of this Quick Start video series. We'll go ahead and enter the username and password combination and click Login. We should see the workstations that are now assigned to our user administrator. Here we should see both the standard CentOS and the graphics Windows workstations. We'll also see that there's a domain controller VM which we have access to using PC over IP for troubleshooting purposes. Let's select our CentOS machine and click on Connect. One thing to note when connecting to these workstations immediately after our deployment is complete is that some of the workstations, and especially the graphics ones, may still be setting up. Sometimes here you will see a message that says remote desktop is restarting. If this happens, we'll just need to wait a few minutes or reconnect if it times out. For a better user experience, under the menu we can click on View and click on Show Full Screen on one monitor. This will actually resize our entire desktop so that we can use our remote workstation as if it is your native local machine. One thing to note for all these workstations is that they're in a private subnet, so they're not directly exposed to the public internet. However, they still do have internet access since a NAT gateway was created and configured for the workstations to use. If we open up a browser such as Firefox, we can actually visit a web page such as teradici.com. We can open up a new tab here, and just to check our connection, we should see that we do in fact have internet access. The last topic that we want to briefly cover in this video is creating additional workstations. Since this tutorial series is focused on deploying CAS on GCP using the Quick Start script, we will not be covering provisioning machines using CAS Manager in depth. With that said, I do want to point out we can actually use CAS Manager to provision additional remote workstations, since our Quick Start script had actually provided it with a GCP service account. We can do this by clicking on the plus icon under Workstations. We'll also provide a link to our CAS Manager documentation, which will provide more information on provisioning additional remote workstations. And that's it for this part. In this video, we showed you how to use our PC over IP software client to connect to the workstations that we've deployed. Before moving on to the next part, feel free to take some time now to explore and evaluate the high performance and low latency capabilities of PC over IP using the software client. In the next and final video of this Quick Start series, we will show you how to tear down our deployment and perform any necessary cleanups of all our environments.